what's going on, it ends up with a lot of side effects, and the person ends up having fire, like burning in the stomach, acidity, or they end up getting joint complaints, or they end up getting some other symptoms that appear.
Welcome our special guest today, who is an Ayurvedic expert, Pari Mudiginty. She is here to talk about Ayurveda and share all her expertise with us. Welcome, Pari.
Thank you, Varsha. It's a pleasure to be on your show.
It is such a great honor to have you in this show, Healthline, on TV Asia Telugu channel. This is a special series where we are throwing light on not the modern medicine, but the integrative, alternative, complementary, holistic. And Ayurveda ranks on top. It's on top of the chart. And we know how beneficial it is for our health. But many people really don't know what Ayurveda is and what exactly the foundation is and how it can actually help them, even not just for the disease condition, for their daily, day-to-day life. So before we start talking about Ayurveda, I'm actually really interested in knowing about your journey. You are our special guest today. So tell us about how you got into this integrative practice, because I'm looking at your title and you are a pharmacist. And then pharmacist deals with the chemical formulas and chemical molecules. And here you are again going to the roots of Ayurveda, our spices and our plants. So tell us about your journey and how did you set up this Ayurvedashram, which is actually dedicated to Ayurvedic treatment.
Sure, Varsha, sure. Yes, I did start my career as a licensed pharmacist in New Jersey. So my background is in pharmacy. I have a master's degree in pharmacy, and I have an MBA in pharmaceutical management. So I started out as a pharmacist, and in a pharmacy, you see a lot of clients walk in, get their prescriptions, and walk out. So in my career, I noticed that clients would walk in, sometimes as young as in their late 20s, early 30s. They would come in for one indication, say migraine or anxiety or blood pressure. And 3 months later, they are back with a secondary condition, maybe like an acid reflux or something. And they would say, here's another prescription for a PPI or a proton pump inhibitor, etc. And I did notice over a period of time, people, tend to have like 4 or 5 prescriptions before you know it. And as a pharmacist, we are supposed to offer consultations, to explain to them lifestyle choices that they can make. But in a retail setting, when you're practicing as a pharmacist, the scope is very less. And I was very interested in Ayurveda. So I used to study Ayurveda, alternative methods, etc. During my spare time. So I quit my job as a pharmacist when I had my son, and I continued my Ayurveda studies. I eventually got a diploma in Ayurvedic and medical science. And fortunately, I met Vaidya Priya Bala, and we both co-founded Ayurvedashram, Holistic Wellness Center, that is located in North Brunswick in New Jersey. The idea to start the center is so that we can offer the community an alternative, a solution to lifestyle as well as for prevention of diseases. And based on the principles of Ayurveda, naturopathy, yoga, and meditation. So this center was established more to understand the interconnectedness of your mind, body, and spirit. So we offer services like, consultations, Skype consultations, and Ayurveda therapies. We do workshops, we do classes, and personalized yoga and meditation. So this is, in a nutshell, my journey into integrative practice.
Yeah, I see that you saw the need, because many times the medications may not be the only answer, and I believe that that was your inspiration. So going further, if you can share about what is the origin and fundamental principles of Ayurveda. I'm sure not many people are aware of the basic science of Ayurveda. And as you said, you got your DAMS. I see that that's your diploma in Ayurvedic medicine. It will be really nice if you can share with our viewers.
Sure. So Ayurveda is an ancient traditional form of medicine that started on the Indian subcontinent. It has been claimed to be more than 5,000 years old. It has been a collection over trial and error and observational methods by medicine men over a period of centuries. So it has been validated and vetted and an evidence-based system of medicine. So the earliest form of writing that we have is in the 8th century. So we have textbooks called Charaka Samhita, written by Charaka. We have Sushruta Samhita, written by Sushruta. And then we also have the Astanga Hridayam, written by Vagbhata. So we have textbooks in Ayurveda. And it is the longest continuously practiced form of medicine, one of the longest continuously practiced form of medicine in the world. So it is pretty well established. And right now, yes, it is getting more in the limelight in the United States, and it's a wonderful thing to see. And regarding the fundamentals of Ayurveda, I'll keep it very simple. Ayurveda believes that the body is made up of 5 elements. So the 5 elements are earth, water, fire, air, and space. And out of these 5 elements, you derive the body's constitution, 3 types of constitutions. So the first one is Vata, which is air and space combination. You have Pitta, which is fire and water combination. And then you have Kapha, which is the earth and the water combination. So whenever we talk about Ayurveda, the first thing we say, oh, what is your dosha type? This is exactly what we mean. Are you a Vata? Are you a Pitta? Or are you a Kapha dosha? Now, it's not necessary that a person is monodoshic. They could be dual. So you could be a Vata Pitta type. It's a little rare to say somebody is very balanced and has all 3 doshas. We have all these 3 doshas in our body, but what is predominant? Now, whatever is predominant, and this is determined at the time of your birth, is called your prakriti or your innate nature. Basically, the fundamental of Ayurveda.
So you, as you said, there are 5 elements. They are also known as Pancamahabhutas. I have heard that terminology before. And then 3 doshas. And then you talked about 3 rasas, correct? The sattvic, rajas, and tamas. What are those?
Sattvic, rajas, and tamas is of the mind. You're absolutely right. Just how we talk about Vata, Pitta, Kapha from a physical perspective, right? And Ayurveda is a mind-body medicine. We keep talking about how it's mind-body. So we talk about the mind also and the 3 states of the mind, which is tamas and rajas and sattvic. Loosely connected sattvic to Vata and rajas to Pitta and tamas to Kapha.
And as I'm listening to you, to understand it more, for say, if I needed to understand more about my doshas or my nature, prakriti, or actually the mental makeup of my own self, I definitely need to see someone who is a practitioner, an Ayurvedic practitioner, can really evaluate a person and tell them that this is what is going on with you. And it's very interesting to see how Ayurveda looks at every individual differently. And you said that it's not necessary that someone has only one dosha. It can be one, or it can be all three. It can be combination of any. So thank you for explaining that. And then I believe there is also a discussion about 7 basic body tissues that you really consider when you are treating people with Ayurvedic medicine. So if you can elaborate on that as well.
Yes. So what we talk is once you know what is your dosha type and also an Ayurvedic practitioner will see we say there are 7 dhatus or tissues in the body. So when you eat your food, the digested food, it goes in the rasa dhatu, the plasma, the rakta dhatu. From the rakta dhatu, it will go in the mamsa dhatu. The mamsa is muscle. From there, it goes into the meda dhatu. And from the meda dhatu, which is the fat tissue, it goes into asti, which is the bones. Then your majja dhatu, which is the nerves. And then it is going artava and shukra, that is your semen and the ovum. And from here comes ojas, the energy that replenishes your whole body. So whenever there is a condition, we try to see where is the blockage. So in osteoporosis, your asta dhatu is weak. That means the blockage must be between meda and asti. Not necessarily, but definitely above meda, right? Because it's not replenishing that dhatu. So it is very important to understand how deep the disease has gone. What layer has the disease penetrated into? So this is another fundamental when we look at all the dhatus in the body.
So as I'm understanding how you arrive at a diagnosis, or maybe how you find the doshas in one person, it's really essential that before they pick up any Ayurvedic product over the counter, isn't it important that they need to at least consult once to understand that, am I using the right thing? Is it really necessary for me? Am I using the right product? That's where your expertise will come in.
I agree, Varsha, because here's my advice to somebody who's starting off. First, understand what is your dosha type, okay? You could, if it's curiosity, you could go online and you could find out there are many dosha quizzes out there. So you can understand what is your dosha type. But I would say confirm it with the practitioner that this is your dosha type. What happens is, as adults, right, over a period of time, through the environment, age, or lifestyle practices, we are usually in an vikruti state. That is a state of imbalance. So how do you know if what you are analyzing is actually a balanced state or an imbalanced state? The whole idea of Ayurveda is there is nothing called disease. It's just an imbalance of your doshas. To put it simply, it's like this. You have a rubber band, an elastic band. Okay. When you leave it alone, it stands in a position. But then if you stretch it, which is stressful conditions, it could be for a human, it could be mental, physical stress, etc. So it's going to expand, it's going to, move. Once you leave it again, it's back in shape. Think of your doshas like that. So you have your prakriti. Okay, you undergo stress, everybody does, you have work to do and family and life to live. But once the stressful condition is over, you should come back to your prakriti. But we don't. We stay in that vikriti state. So it's very difficult for a person to judge by themselves. Am I in the prakriti state? Am I in the vikriti? It's easy if they have a condition. So if they have a condition, they'll say, we know that it's vikriti. That is why they have a disease, or a condition. So yes, for a major part, it'll be interesting to do a quiz and find out what your dosha type is. But I would say before you start taking something, and say, this is my dosha, I'm going to take this medicine, or this was somebody suggested, I would suggest you go to an Ayurvedic practitioner and just confirm that, okay, this is your prakriti and currently you have this vikruti in your system.
That's very well explained, actually. Thank you for sharing that. Doshas and then prakriti and vikruti. So everyone wants to achieve that ideal state of good health. Like you explained, the stretch rubber band, everyone's effort is to kind of keep the elasticity of that rubber band and not get really saggy rubber band, because we are really stretched out in every direction. Can you explain what is good health that everyone is looking to have? What is the good health as far as Ayurveda? How does it define a good health?
So I love this quote from Sushruta. It's from Sage Sushruta, and he, in Sanskrit, the quote says, Sama dosha, sama agnischa, sama dhatu, mala kriyaha, prasanna atma indriya manaha, swastha ityabhi dhiyate. That means your doshas are in balance. We know what doshas are. Your agni, that is your digestive fire, is in balance. Your dhatus are functioning properly, are clean and functioning properly. Mala, that is your excretion process through defecation, urination, skin, is functioning properly. And also that you are happy, your indriyas, your sense organs, you are happy, moderation, and your mind and atma is cheerful. This is the total definition of good health. So it's mind, body, spirit. All three in perfect balance is the definition of good health as per Ayurveda.
So it's really beautiful shloka. And I think even I'm going to keep it in my mind. And it really explains the balance that we need. It actually defines that if you have everything balanced, then you are healthy. And if there is an imbalance somewhere, then you need to figure it out, how you are going to convert that vikruti into prakriti. Beautifully said. So Ayurveda is a highly evolved science. So what are the diagnostic methods that are involved in detecting the doshas? What are some of the tools that you use to diagnose your patients?
When you examine, it's called a Trividya Pariksha of a client. So it's darshanam, which is visual, and sparshanam, by touch, when we touch and examine, and also prashanam, which is questioning. So we question the background and all that. So this is done through the Ashtavidya Pariksha, that is the 8 methods of examination. So it is, you look at the pulse, the urine, feces, what we call nadi, mutra, mala, jivha, shabda, sparsha, and netra and akruti. So when you go to an Ayurvedic practitioner, not necessarily that they will use all these methods. Each practitioner has some specialty, like some special way that they have mastered, or they feel that this works well for them to diagnose. But basically, everybody is going to check your pulse. That is central. And then, for example, at our center, right, we use marma. Marma is like acupressure points, but the Ayurvedic science of it, marma. So we use acupressure points on your palms of your hand to diagnose, and we use pulse and of course questioning and your background to diagnose your prakriti as well as your vikruti.
I know that Ayurveda is being practiced all over the world, India and all of the European countries, and even in United States now it's gaining popularity. But definitely there are some challenges associated with practice of Ayurveda.
So regarding an example, if you suggested, right? In short, I'll give you something that's really common, seasonal allergies. So it's very common. Children, adults, they have allergies and all that. So this is something that we see a lot of clients come in, and our endeavor is to educate the client in such a way that they don't come back to us. They know how to actually manage their allergies. So in allergies, we suggest from the beginning itself to take some immunoboosting herbs like Chavanprash. You must have
Mhm.
heard, right?
Mhm.
Chavanprash is a concoction, a formulation, a very famous traditional formulation of 24 plus herbs that increases your boosts your immune system. So we suggest to take Chavanprash from before and do Panchakarma therapy in springtime, before springtime sets in. And especially one of the therapies, which is called Nasyam.
Mhm.
Nasyam is where we do like a nasal treatment, wherein we drop oil into your nasal passage and clear all your sinus. Um, because in seasonal allergies, you usually see symptoms of inflammation and sinusitis, that is, and red eyes and watery eyes, etc. So we tell you how you can use a combination of simple therapy you can do yourself at home. You must have heard of the neti pot, like
Mhm.
where you
Yes.
put in,
Jalaneti and yeah.
yes, yes. So its neti pot is something that is available in any pharmacy now widely. It's saline water that you put through one nostril to the other.
Mhm.
In Ayurveda, actually, we use certain oils, which are much more effective. So we
Mhm.
teach you how you could do this treatment at home. First,
Mhm.
we demonstrate. You go to the process at our center, and then you do nasyam at home. You do certain herbs. You do certain pranayam to increase your lung capacity, to open up
Mhm.
your airways and your passages, and to reduce inflammation. And they have been clients who have come to us 1 year and never again. So their
Mhm.
friends, family, we see them, they just come and they say, oh, can I pick this up? Because I'm doing perfectly fine. I have no seasonal allergies. Or
Mhm.
rather, I know how to deal with them now. So
So that's a
that's,
great example. That's a great
yes,
example.
absolutely. And coming back to your point as to what are the challenges in the practice of Ayurveda in the United States, I would definitely say it's an exciting time to be in this field right now. Um, it has been in the US for quite some time, but has not gained the popularity it has. Yoga has gained this popularity, and now Ayurveda is also slowly coming up. And definitely, we have some challenges here. For one, although the NCCIH, which is the National Center for Complementary and Integrative Health, it does recognize Ayurveda as a whole system of medicine
Mhm.
and complementary and integrative health, but we cannot claim to treat a condition. We can claim that we can manage a condition, but we cannot claim to treat. So this is a major challenge that we have. The second thing is the need to educate the patient on to to move their mindset from the single medicine, single pill solution to bring about a paradigm shift into this mind, body, spirit kind of thinking and medicine. So it's
Mhm.
very important for us. So unlike, for example, in India, if you go to an Ayurveda Vaidya, you know what you're going for, and the Vaidya knows. He's not going to explain to you, prakriti, vikruti, what happens in the system. But I believe it's very important, and I actually enjoy that aspect of it, trying to explain to a client. So we take the time to sit down and explain and educate about what is Ayurveda. It's a lifestyle choice. So
Mhm.
this is a challenge as well as a necessity to educate, and bring about this kind of education in the community at large. The third would be legal and regulatory concerns. For example, certain herbs, right? There was quite some controversy about heavy metals in the herbs. and certain going about the limit and all. So many of these Ayurvedic formulations do have trace minerals and metals, but this has been a highly evolved science, and there is a method, there's a science how they are prepared, and it only retains the therapeutic capacity of this while removing the poison side of it. But I understand it is difficult to explain this from a modern medicine perspective. So to bypass this kind of challenge, for example, this advice is not just for, from how we practice at my center, for other practitioners out there who may be thinking about, we always prescribe single herbs sourced in the US, organic herbs, so that you're very clear that it does not have any heavy metals, etc. So you keep the composition very simple, no complicated formulations. So this is, how you have to take into consideration. So we have clients that say, "Oh, I'm going to get these medications from India and use them. Can you monitor me?" I mean, you're free to if your wife there is suggesting, but we cannot take the responsibility of monitoring you here because
That's
if something
correct.
comes up in your blood work, then we cannot take the responsibility for that. So, and certain therapies like in Ayurveda, you have bloodletting therapy. Even something like enema, right? You cannot do it. It should be like a hospital setting or something to do it. So these are certain. You have to be very aware of where the limits are in the legal and regulatory concern. And fourth, and I wouldn't say it's fine, but last but not the least, insurance coverage. A lot of clients come to us and say, "Are your services covered by insurance?" Unfortunately, no. I heard of one or two insurance um, companies that do cover Ayurveda, but at our center, I have seen that HSA cards, your health saving account cards, do work. If they don't, you can claim them. So a lot of insurance companies also, as you must be aware, they are moving towards wellness, well-being, and prevention. They would rather have you spend your money first, on your health
Prevention.
well-being rather than you falling sick and they having to pay your hospital fees. So we're
That's correct.
slowly getting there. We're trying to lobby, get together as practitioners, etc. But we still don't hold the kind of place that, for example, acupuncturists, right? So they are covered. Acupuncture services are covered, but we are really hoping and optimistic we'll get there.
So you actually spoke about many challenges, and it brings us to a point that yes, Ayurveda has ability to help every individual, provide a holistic approach. However, you have limitations of doing certain treatments because of how our US medicine is constructed, and how the regulations are and how legislations are formed. In spite of all that, you will have consumers approaching you as a practitioner and coming to your center for the treatment. And you also made another very good point that they need to be a consumer who is aware of the products that they are using. If they are not aware, then it's really a good action that they need to consult someone who can advise them that this is the product, use the products which are manufactured here where you have a say and you can advise them properly, rather than using products from anywhere else where you cannot vouch for them. So for the same reason, again, I have said in many of my programs that if you are using any modalities, if you are choosing any mode of therapy such as Ayurveda or acupuncture or acupressure, make sure that you are going to someone who is an expert, and don't choose anything on your own because a lay person or someone who does not have a knowledge of medicine does not have ability to make the right choices, and they always need to seek an expert advice. And that's where I see the future will really expand the scope of this practice, because more we have people looking for the treatments, more we have case studies after case studies, which actually proves the point that yes, there is a possibility of eliminating the symptoms through holistic approach. So I believe that just like you, I do believe in a bright future where we will have relaxed approach. Things will change, and that's the reason I have brought this discussion on Healthline to have our viewers have a perspective that there are complementary. Currently, Ayurveda is a complementary medicine because most of the patients are going to have their primary provider and they will consult with their primary provider if they are also seeking Ayurvedic treatment with centers like yours. So it's an evolving science again, even though it is 5,000 years old, it's still evolving. So coming to the next question, personalized medicine, Ayurveda. How can an individual participate actively in their own health and well-being?
Yes, since Ayurveda, again, we say it's a very personalized medicine. First thing I would say is, as we had stated in the show earlier, is figure out what is your dosha type. Figure out what is your dosha type. Get an opinion, expert opinion, that this is my prakriti. This is, my body type. And then, because it opens up a plethora of options for you. And Ayurveda is not just about disease. And in fact, if you look at Ayurveda, the major focus is on prevention, is on well-being, it's on perfect health, rather than the condition of disease. So for one to achieve that, once you understand what is your dosha type, you will understand what kind of foods are good for you, what kind of weather, what precautions you have to take during what season, and also if there is vikruti, what kind of disease or conditions you may face in the future. So it's beautiful as prevention, and you can take this health in your hands. It's a wonderful journey to be on. And once you are hooked onto it, trust me, you'll start diagnosing your spouse, your partner, your children, and your colleagues. And it's an interesting journey to be on. And it's very personal.
And I see that you have shared the link of the dosha quiz, which we will be also showing it to our viewers so that they can get started right away. Thank you for sharing all those wonderful things about this science and fundamentals of Ayurveda, sharing the case study. And I just wanted to tell our viewers that this is not the end. We have another interview with Pari next time, where we are going to talk about practical Ayurveda. Because in this episode, we talked about just the basic fundamentals and what is Ayurveda and how the science is constructed. And we learned a lot from Pari today. And thank you so much for coming on this show. Before we end this session, I believe that Pari has a small message for today's episode for all of us.
Varsha, thank you very much. It's wonderful that we can bring Ayurveda to the masses. And yes, they can check their doshas by going on our website. It's www.myayurvedashram.com. You can take the dosha quiz. It's fun. You can do your family's quiz also. And the next time, be ready with your dosha type. And we're going to discuss in detail the practical aspects of doshas and give you actual tips about the food, lifestyle, and choices you can do based on your dosha and your prakriti.
Thank you, Pari. So, dear viewers, I will say bye for now, but I'm sure you will be waiting for our next episode. And second session is with Pari, and there are 2 more sessions with another Ayurvedic practitioner. So, total of 4. Don't miss them, because we are going to learn a lot about how we are going to take action to prevent diseases, which is the fundamental reason of practicing Ayurveda at home. And as Pari explained, you can, using dosha quiz, you can find out your own doshas and learn certain practices to keep yourself in good health. And we will say that shloka again in our next episode. So please come back on Healthline TV Asia Telugu channel. This is your host, Varsha Singh, saying bye. Thank you for watching.
న్యూజెర్సీలో ఇల్లు కొనాలని కానీ అమ్మాలని కానీ అనుకుంటున్నారా? మీ నమ్మకమైన నేస్తంగా మీ ఇంటి క్రయ విక్రయాలను చేసి పెడుతోంది మీ లోవి రియల్టీ గ్రూప్. వేలాది డాలర్ల మీ కష్టార్జితాన్ని, ఎంతో విలువైన సమయాన్ని ఆదా చేస్తూ కేవలం $990 నామమాత్రపు ఫీజుతో ఖచ్చితమైన, సంతృప్తికరమైన లావాదేవీలను చేసి పెట్టే రియల్ ఏజెన్సీ లోవి. అంతేకాదు, మీరు కొన్న ఇంటి మీద మినిమం 1% క్యాష్ బ్యాక్ మీ క్లోజింగ్ కాస్ట్ లో పొందగలరు. మరిన్ని వివరాలకు ప్లీజ్ విజిట్ www.lovihomes